So in this video of drawing and breaking down anime poses, I chose 3 different poses from life in these poses. And I got these off of Pinterest. If you follow my Pinterest account, you'll find these on there. And I chose a kind of like a falling, slightly, it could be flying or falling or however way you want to interpret it, type of pose. And with this one, I chose this one. I guess it was like a bunch of different swimming poses for diving into the swimming pool. And a lot of those poses are pretty much used for, flying. If you see a lot of poses in, or a lot of the drawings in comic books where they're flying and they're doing these weird, their hands out, different little stunts. A lot of them are from uh, divers that swims jumping off of a diving board into a pool. And so I got this one, and this particular pose I've seen also drawn with Supergirl and things like that. So I chose this as a generic pose to use for people who are trying to do kind of like a pose, them flying in the air and they're doing like some type of little stunt or flip or something. And so for this, I started out the same way. I created the circles for the head, circles for the chest, and circles for the waist, and I'm kind of working my way off from that. And it's kind of like a placing point to add the head and the chest and the waist first, then start adding in the arms and legs and everything else towards it or onto it. Your main thing is to try to jot down the big shapes first and then start working in the little shapes. It's kind of a way to work in and get your pose out quickly and then start adding in everything as you go along, because at the end you're going to erase it and detail it anyway. So you're just jotting it down real quick and then adding in the details later on for whatever character you're trying to make it. And you can use it as a gesture also. I like to use shapes just because the shapes is a way to show it in perspective, kind of. If you're trying to draw in a perspective, if you want to do it gestures quickly, you can do it that way also. But I like to practice this way. That way, it's engraved in your brain as far as where to position the character or the pose and the relation of what you're trying to accomplish. You see there, I'm adding in the line for where the chest is going to be. When I start to add details, I'll know where that central line is. Sometimes I'll make the line longer and I'll go all the way across the legs. This one I just added to the chest. That way I know, where I'm drawing everything when I'm adding it in there. And sometimes I'll add a line in the center too to create that depth of the chest. And for this one, I didn't really focus too much on the fingers. I just threw it down just so you know where the hand is. You can easily add fingers in later on when you're adding details to it. And a lot of times I like to do the fingers sometimes last if I'm adding detail and creating a character. And it all depends on your style, your preference, how you want to draw it. So right now I'm just darkening everything out so I can see it a little better. Adding in, darkening all the lines. And push it a little bit since it was out of frame from the camera. Couldn't see it. That's why I had to move the paper up. I'm adding in the neck area so we know where the neck is going to go. I start to add the traps, or I guess if it's a male character, add the traps real thick, especially if you're creating muscles. Darkening, erasing out all the lines to keep it from being too confusing for when you're drawing it out. Now for this next one, I chose a jumping pose, or I guess that's kind of what it is, jumping or whatever. And because I chose this one because of the angle that she's in. That way I can kind of draw it kind of like in the perspective of how it is, to kind of show how I draw it that way. That's why you see me, I add the circle for the head, and because the head is up, or the head is tilted up, I'll add a circle on the bottom of the circle for the head to kind of show that the head is tilting up. And that way, when you start to add details to it, that the neck is pointing up, and you can start to detail after that. But every time I draw a head that's tilted up, if you've seen my previous videos especially, you'll see me always add that circle on the bottom for the head whenever it's tilted up. And if it's tilted down, I'll create more of a box shape for the head. That way you know that the head is tilted down. And so for this, the same thing. Start with the head, then the chest, then a circle for the waist. I'm adding in the line, so I know where to place the leg. Say the circle for the leg, and have it going out. Now, when I'm doing these type of poses, especially when it's for short like this, and from this type of extreme angle of perspective, sometimes I'll draw the leg first or the foot first, because sometimes when you're drawing from that type of angle, the whatever body part that's facing the camera or closest to the camera is bigger than everything else. So I'll draw that big body part first and then work my way back. That way you kind of see it forces your eye to draw it smaller, because sometimes when I draw um, the body first and work our way into the part that's getting enlarged, it sometimes will look kind of the same size, which you kind of see here. This way, because I started out with the head first and then the body, it is still, the leg is still bigger, but maybe, I guess to me, it still looks like it's smaller, or it could not be. I don't know, but for this one, I should have started out with the foot first and then work my way up to the head and the chest, because I think the head and the chest is a little bit, I guess it's a little bit smaller in the image. But I was going to erase it at this point, but I just left it like it is, because this way it would work also, depending on the type of image you're going for. So it doesn't really have to be the way it looks in the reference, but I just stuck with it and just kept going along with it. And even then, it's an easy fix. You kind of just, I can easily just go back and just leave the legs like it is, and then erase the top half of the chest and the head, and then just make it a little bit smaller, and that's it. And you're pretty much done. So right now I'm just adding in the arm, the cylinder for the arm, a circle for the shoulder. And then it's kind of I've been drawing this method for a long time, so it's easy for me to draw these little, I guess they look like kind of like wooden figures in a way, because the character is always broken up in different pieces, like the circle for the shoulders and elbows, and then I'm drawing the head circle. And it's because I have some books. I forgot the name of those, but I had some books years ago that has shown different ways to pose characters using this type of method. And it typically is with a wooden figure. And even though I kind of don't recommend that little wooden figure, because the wooden figure is kind of stiff in a way, so I'd rather just use, you have action figures that poses better than those wooden figures that you have in the art store. You can go to I forget what's a Storm Collectibles. They make good figures that can pose really good. Another place or another company is Sticky Bones. I like to use those figures a lot. I think if you see me in their videos, I'll use Sticky Bones for a lot of the poses if I'm trying to figure out certain angles from a different perspective or different view. Now for this one, I chose, it's kind of like a starting pose for a run. And, Pinterest has a lot of different things to draw from. So it's kind of like when I'm going on it and I'm trying to figure out what to draw, it's kind of like it's just so much on there. Compared to, years ago where you had to just, you had to find or draw from life to basically get a good pose. And now you can just go on Pinterest and find all kinds of images for drawing different things, whether it's anime or comics or things like that. But there's always reference to you, so there's no excuse to not have reference to draw from, especially nowadays. And so now you see how I'm kind of just curving the line. So I'm basically drawing the circle shape also, but I'm just making it more of a oval shape, and I'm kind of just going and drawing another oval behind that as the waist. And I could either draw the whole thing out. Sometimes I'll draw the whole thing out as far as the waist, where you'll see it through the chest. But for this, since I'm drawing it this way, and I guess it was faster for me to draw this way, I just drew like kind of a half of a circle just to jot it down and get the um, character down fast. So right now I'm adding in the circles for the the elbows and the knees. And when I add the circles for the shoulders and knees ahead of time, I'll know, it's kind of a way for me to measure where the ends are going to meet for doing certain things where I'm adding in the hand. I may draw the hand first, and then I'll draw the body first, then the hand, then I'll draw a circle for the shoulder, and then I'll start placing in the arms as I go. It's kind of a way to show weight in something. Like if you're going to show a hand or arm lifting something, I may draw the object first that they're lifting, and then start to draw the figure around it. It's different methods to draw these type of things, and sometimes drawing it that way is easier way for me to draw certain things that's kind of feel like it's weighted, where like you're lifting something and it's holding you down or lifting you up or whatever. So you see that it's because I added the circle for the knee earlier. I already knew where the leg was going to go, and I start to add it in as I go. Adding in circles for the knees, and then the leg, and the calf. You see I added the other knee in there so I can see where that was going to go, and I start to place it to follow it up with the foot. You see, I already know where the foot is going to go behind that other hand. So since everything is measured out, I just throw it in there and make the other leg with the other cylinder for the calf of the other leg. Filling it up, shortening it out. I got to change a little bit. Drawing in the foot, since the foot is going back or leaning back. That's kind of I don't know what that's called, because I don't really run track like that, so I don't know what those little things. And plus, this is like an old picture back in, I don't know how many years ago. So maybe they don't use that anymore. I don't know, but I drew it anyway because it's there. Starting to erase all the lines in the center. Didn't want it to look too invisible, where you see everything through the figure. Plus, you don't want to confuse the eye too much. If your eye is confused too much, then sometimes you may draw a certain thing, or if you're erasing it and detailing it, then you may draw something that you didn't mean for it to be there, only because you thought it was there because of how you overlap so many different shapes. Now you see for the fingers, I'm kind of just jotting it down quickly. A lot of times I like to go use the shapes when I'm doing the fingers, but I kind of just threw it in there because I already know how to draw hands. I didn't want to focus too much on hands for this particular video, so I just drew it out really quick just to get it out there. And even then, even how I got the hand out right now, I can still go back and change it to make it more detailed. I just drew it out this way only because I was trying to just get it in there and be done with it. Because typically, you see how I did there, where if I was to use shapes, I would have added a circle where the knuckles were, and then kind of work my way out to create the fingers. And the more you do that, the more it'll stick in your head how to draw fingers. That's why you see me just draw the finger out without using shapes, because I visualized in my head those shapes for the fingers, and now I'm just drawing it out. That's why for me it's easy to know the shapes, because typically if I'm doing a drawing, I'll draw out the body anyway, or I'm doing a gesture drawing, or the different methods. And the only time I'm actually drawing this way, when I'm using shapes like this, is if I'm trying to figure out a pose that I've never done before. And that's why this is, for me, is the best way to figure out how to draw poses that you've never created before from different angles. And if you want to draw from different angles and also draw poses from out of your head, from memory, this is also the best way for me to do it. Because you can't go wrong drawing the shapes. Because if you draw, as long as you draw the circles for the head, circle for the waist, circle for the shoulders, it's pretty easy how to draw your own poses from memory.